Okay, so I'll escape out of the lovely PowerPoint. And we'll kick off. First thing I want to explain is just the difference between core application, which is a web application, we call this the core application, and native mobile apps. So this is the core web application. Most people will be familiar with and use every day. And so, you know, you can browse around, you've got all the modules, you do all the functionality. Now, typically in the past, if you were to use that application on a phone, you could still do so, but it was clumsy and difficult. And to give you a demonstration of that, I'm just going to go here. So this is my Android phone. And if I go into Chrome and I go into this particular screen, this hasn't been upgraded yet to 14.1. And so you can see that the Welcome to UniPhi login is very, very small and quite hard to navigate to the login if you wanted to type in your username and password. If I go to the new version, this one has been upgraded, and you can see that you can read the message, you can click in the boxes quite easily and log in. So, and then when I log in, so first I'll log in with one that hasn't been upgraded. And you can see I clicked the login, but actually missed the button there. So it hasn't recognized it. Now it has. So I had to actually zoom in to get that to happen. That's part of the clumsiness of what it was like before. So now, and you can see that you can't even read that. It's unintelligible. And if I wanted to change something from my work to my to portfolio, or I click the hamburger, I'm trying to click it, but it's not actually working. If I zoom in and I do it, it'll work. And then I get the modules, but they're a bit hit and miss. Zooming in was not too bad, and then I can do something and it'll load. But as you can see, every page is quite difficult to read. If I now go to the upgraded version, you see that login, I hit click and it went straight in. And even though, like, I am reflecting my phone onto the laptop, which is then sharing it through Join Me to you, so it might be a little bit fuzzy on your screen, it's as clear as crystal on mine. And you can see you can actually read it. It's refurbished 15 Burke Street, Melbourne. It's practical completion task. And you can see that I can hit the hamburger and it instantly pops out with something I can read. I can hit modules. I can go to timesheets, and it loads with nice big chunky buttons for me to click on, and nice drop downs. If I go to the issues system, that's quite a nice one to demonstrate. When I click on an issue, I'll go into a project first. If I click on an issue, what happens, instead of in the current web application, you would have two columns to this particular screen. It automatically lays out. You can see there's less. Excellent. There's less columns where it's necessary, but also what happens is it scrolls down the page rather than having the two columns where you have to do horizontal swiping. And so you can just scroll down the screen and update as you need, and obviously read as you go. Again, if I was to switch back to the old version and get into the issue, you can see, again, you can't read it. And then if I get into one, probably shouldn't have gone into that one. This one's actually a live system for our training business. That one's better. You can see the two columns are laid out there, and again, you can't read it. And so, it's actually just the mirror image of the web application version. So it's the same system, but what the technology that we've utilized here enables us to do is change the layout dynamically based on the screen size. So that's the main difference in the upgraded to 14.1 is you get that nice new interface. Now, the difference between core application and native is a specific application that still hits your UniPhi database, but it's being built to work on a mobile natively. The biggest benefit of that now is the fact that it works offline. And so you can work in a remote area or in an area with poor connectivity and still get information. Now, it's called On-Site. So if you go to the Play Store or the App Store, you'll see it there as UniPhi On-Site, and it'll come in with an icon that you click on. So it's an app. So instead of going into Chrome and accessing the application through a URL, you go in via the app called UniPhi On-Site. The limitations of the app is that it only has documents and issues for you to work through. And so you wouldn't be doing contracts or timesheeting through the native app. So when I say native versus core, now you'll know what I mean. That's a native Android app. And if I just go to here, this is, you'll see that again, UniPhi On-Site is the icon. This is on an iPad. And when I click, it's the on-site native app for the iPad. It's a different app again. So the joys of funding those is great. And if the mobilization goes well, and if the rollout of 5G technologies goes well, I would say that in the future we will probably reduce support for this native app, and it will become redundant. But at the moment, it's still there, and it's probably it's quite heavily used in the by the guys working in the field, and has some unique features around it that have been designed for on-site data capture. So maybe it won't be retired, but it's certainly, we're quite excited about the way that the web application has been able to be mobilized. But I'll show you, for those who have never used the native app, some stuff around that as well in this demonstration. Just to remind myself what was next. Yeah, and we'll start off back with the phone. And I'm just going to do a document on the phone in the field. So we're in the phone. I'm on my phone here. That's what's being shared on the webinar. And you can see again, it's only got the documents and issues. I go into a project, and I've got this little plus at the top right section where I can hit plus, and it'll create a new document. I select, as per usual, UniPhi kind of workflow, what type of document I want to do. You can see you've got daily diary, inductions. I'm going to do this site inspection report. You can give it a name. And away we go. And basically what would have been set up in the web application through the system administrator is the template steps. And like all UniPhi documents, you go in and you fill in those template steps. It leads you along the way. The top section you can put into the template describing what you want people to do. And so Sydney, I should be selecting heavy rain. It's been a lot of fun. Light rain in the afternoon. And you just go through, and this is as per the design of this specific template, who was on site. And you can see that in our web application version now, this wouldn't be too bad either, but the design of the on-site native app is to make it easy for a person with thick thumbs to be able to actually drive the machine. I've just had someone wanting to register, and I've been all thumbs and lost the screen while I try to allow them to come into the webinar. So hang on a sec, we'll get back to where we were. Okay, personal site, progress, and then yeah, you'll have one of the things with the issues app. So if you're on site and there is an issue, if it already exists, you can select it to link to that particular issue, or you can log a new one. A safety incident, whatever it is, and capture comments, dates assigned to people. You'll see that when I do the defects demonstration on the iPad. And the big thing about the native apps as well is the integration with your phone on the device. So if I'm going to take a quick photo, native incident, a safety incident, I should say, I can do that, and then continue on my merry way. So that would have actually logged an issue as well. So we're creating a document here, but it would have logged an issue in addition to that. Related file, just general images, another drop down. It's a minor safety incident, and then your normal document statuses, which if I mark for awaiting sign off, one of the things people aren't aware of in this is if I actually then view this particular document, after it's been synced. So here's one below it that says awaiting sign-off. If I view that particular document, you'll see it's viewing what I've actually inputted in, and it is giving me a thumbs up, which I can actually click to sign that off. And so you can actually sign off documents on the app. And so that when I synchronize this now, it uploads information to the main web application, which if I go across, go into. Now, one of the best ways to find what's been recently done in UniPhi is just to go to the Communications tab, and you can see there's the safety incident there, the comment, which will be the photo, and if I click on that particular thing, it's there. 14.1 has made these 2 columns on this particular resolution, which is cool, and the photo is still being uploaded, so we need to go back to that one to see it. But the document as well is there, the site inspection report, and that can be read as required. Actually, hasn't got to the document upload bit yet. It's taking its time. I would suggest definitely synchronizing when you're back on a wireless connection, which I am, but it's still taking a little while. There we go. So there's our webinar. You can see the other one that I signed off is now signed off. It was awaiting sign-off before. And when I go into it, there's the information that we typed in a couple of seconds ago with the related safety incident that I can click on. And this time, the image will be there. And I'm sure you're probably all aware that when you take images with your location settings on the phone, it will actually capture where that particular photo was taken, which is not bad for roads programs and the like, not that interesting for office towers and residentials. Okay, so that was capturing documentation in the field through a phone using the native app, our UniPhi on-site native app. The next one I'm going to do is using the native app on the iPad and capture some defects. So I have to get to a different mirror piece of software. And this is the iPad app, similar in the sense that it only has documents and issues. And I am in a project, Castle Towers development project we're in before. And I'm going to log a new defect. And so I would click the little plus icon down the bottom here, and it brings up a description field. And we've had some fun with the client here trying to optimize this, and I think there's still some more things we can do around defects. But if you were doing multiple floors of a residential building, what you would do is you would actually, if you were just inspecting one floor at a time, and normally that's how it works, just copy that. Just copy that, because you're going to put that as a prefix on all of them. And this one might be the, and you might have put room 201 or room 202 as a prefix. Copy all of that, and then you might type bathroom and then say tile cracked. You want to select the defect being defects management. There's some talk about having that stay, but there's issues with regards to doing that, positives and negatives. Now, some options here. There's a report that comes out of the box of UniPhi that enables you to export to Excel a defects report that you can email to people or to PDF. Alternatively, if Chris is the contractor, you could actually give Chris access to these defects to log in via the on-site app or via the web application and just see that list. There's a couple options there. Now, again, the native apps enable you to access your phone quite quickly. And as some of you might be wondering what the snoring noise is in the background, this time I might just take a photo of my dog who's snoring next to me. And so that done the same that I did in the mobile phone for the Android, except this time it's done iPad in the issue directly rather than as a document. And I would just keep going. And the key with the keep going is I'm now going to add another one, is if you just hold your finger down on that, you can then paste in floor 1, room 101, and maybe you're in the bedroom now and your cornice paint. And again, you're selecting defects management. You're assigning to our poor mate Chris, who's going to cop all this. You're taking a photo. Once you've done that 100 times and you're happy with all of that and you get back to site, you would then hit refresh, and that's going to synchronize back to the server, which again will take a little while, but you can go and have coffee, click into a browser and work on something else, whatever have you. What is it? A couple hours. Again, I don't need to sort of find where that particular issue was. If I know it's recent, I can go to the communication. It's going to be the last one. And when on it, there's the uploaded there. And now Chris is now able to be notified of this. Alternatively, what you would do is we would come into reports. And under project, there's a defects log report that if I select that particular project, lays out. Now we've added a search function to a client's defects report here that enables them to just run one level at a time. So you could search a level 1 and it'll just limit the list to level 1. And that way, if you have a lot of defects, which this particular client did, the report would be too big, especially with the photos. So you just do one level at a time, and you tend to email still a lot of pages there. So there you can choose that. I do practice these webinars beforehand. That's a photo I took in my car this morning to test the logic. So that comes out dynamically. All the images from your defects, any comments that you've put in or actions or due dates. You can create a location drop down that'll describe south, northwest, northeast, whatever bearing you want for that to assist the contractor to go back in and update that particular defect. They can then have a close off, which if they're a team member, they can't actually complete the close. It goes to awaiting review, and then you as project manager can review those and close out the defects as the ending loop in the workflow. Now, there's just one other thing I wanted to cover on the bit that I did before that I forgot, which was the documentation side of OnSite in the native apps. What happens in the, I'll go in methodology actually, in the templating of the OnSite apps, if I go to that one that was site inspection and just edit that. The key for you, now not everyone on the call will have this access, but the key to tell the people who do is for it to be available on the native apps, you need this on-site compatible to be ticked. And what that does is it limits the number of template controls available to the user because we haven't, wrong drop down, we haven't got full functionality on the native app. So this list here is significantly less. It'll be about, I don't know, a quarter of the number of template controls that are available to a system administrator in creating the template. These are all the steps that I went through in the demonstration. That's a key to being able to utilize that functionality, and one that I wanted to get out there because I don't think it's very deeply known. Okay, so good. Now, that's been around for a while. That's all functionality that some people may have used. The new stuff is what I sort of hinted at the beginning of the demonstration, where you would do everything just as you would normally do in your web application through a laptop or a PC. Now you can do it either on your phone or on a tablet. So the first one I'm going to do, which is interesting, and with another client that we've been working on, this probably will evolve, but this is a first bit of an awareness around it. And the use of it, the extent of how deep it will go will be interesting, but basically progress claiming on site. And so I'm going to go to my iPad again, and I'm back at my apps bit, and I'm just going to click on the Chrome. You could use Safari as well. I just, as you can see when I'm using the iPad, I don't know much about Apple. So I'm going to somewhere where it's at least slightly comfortable. And I'm viewing the web application, same version as I was with the laptop, but this is for the resolution on an iPad, which isn't that dissimilar because an iPad's got quite a nice resolution. And I'm in a project and I've got a list of contracts there that I can view. through the web browser. And as you can see, I'm sure everyone can read that coming through on the webinar. If I was to drill in on a particular contract and I didn't time out, this will be interesting. I'll just go somewhere else while I type this password in. The tension must be killing people. The dog's snoring in the background again. And we've had our first disaster of the demonstration. Let's try that again. Right. We're here, okay. And if you were to actually go in on a contract, and as I scroll down the screen, you'll see the resolution's not too bad. It's been changed. And these particular tables, they slide within themselves without moving. You can still see the save button. So you can slide a portion of the screen rather than the whole screen. So that's a mobilization function that enables you to move action without losing access to other bits. And so the idea would be that this is a full-blown trade material breakdown. If you were a PM, you wouldn't have necessarily this list, and you'll have your variations as well. And you can just basically go out on site with contractor and look at the progress on joinery, for example, and say either the total complete is now $5,000, and then you can use these arrow buttons to tab to the next one and say hardware is 2,000, or if you prefer, tab a couple more and say I'm going to go to a roof and facade is 10%, and just go through basically and do your on-site percentages. Hit save, and you're ready to create your recommend. And so, you know, that would have been quite clunky, and you could even do it on it's the way, if you go landscape on your phone, and the way that this table scrolls, it basically, the idea being you can update in the field. Now we're working on some even more detailed ways of doing that, like daily quantity updates. So you can see most of these are just total lump sums. You could build up. You got 140 days of labour at $1,000. You could have your entire bill of quantities in there and be every day adding in. You know, we had 5, cubic meters of bitumen come today, or whatever the case may be. And so that was on an iPad. And again, most of the uses of this stuff is up to your imagination, but the key being that you can browse down in your iPad in the web application itself, not necessarily within UniPhi native apps anymore, and you should be enjoying it as much as I know you all do when you're using the web application on a laptop. Okay, and we've got one last bit of this to go. And that is reviewing notifications off phone. So we go back to the phone casting. There we go. My son gets famous one more time, and this time I'm going into email. And I'm sure you all get the notifications on your email. I'm often not at a laptop. I'm in the field, and I'm working, and I get the notification, and there's something I need to review through that notification. In the old pre-14.1 upgrade, I would read it, but it wasn't as simple as this. When I click soil contamination now, it takes me into the deployment in a nice way that I can read straight away. And so I can get that notification from email. I can drill in. I can see what's been commented. Got to fix this issue. Yes, we do. It's been going on since, 2014. It's a long time. And if I've finished that review, I can just hit the back arrow, and I'm back in my email to review the next notification item that comes to me. And there's not normally just one which would be a nice way to be. Equally, I could click on that document and it'll take me back in there, and I can read the certified progress claim and add my signature to sign it off, and it's done. Job done. Done in the cab, done at the park, done walking the dogs, who knows. There was one bit I did say I would just quickly demonstrate as well. I think I'll do that on my phone. While I'm in the phone, I'll just go back into the web and go to timesheets, and I can basically timesheet there and then, and it's not too bad. You can see again, that's the scrolling of that table. That was one of the big things we had to get for this to work properly. So you can just scroll across without the whole screen scrolling. So that enables you to hit 5 there and hit 7 there and hit save, and you've got yourself a timesheet entry. The other one you could do is day view and then write some comments. Done. All right, so what I'm going to do now is stop the recording